Okay, I think we're on. Hi, everybody. This is Haruna.
Hi, this is Rashmi.
And we are at session 5. Today's topic is Hopscotch.
Hopscotch.
And I'm going to switch right over to our presentation. Okay, so again, we are doing Hopscotch today. And if you are on live with us, please join todaysmeet.com/codingsampler5 and just sign in with your nickname, and we will you can chat us any questions. So we're jumping right in. Hopscotch is a graphical programming platform very similar to Scratch and other graphical tools out there. This particular one only works on iPads and iPhones. And today I'll be showing you the iPad version. The iPhone version has a slightly different interface, although it's, the gist of it is the same. I don't have an iPhone, so I can't show you that version. So we will be using iPads today. The program is designed for making animations in games. It is free, just like Scratch. And projects can be shared within the Hopscotch community. Now, it hasn't been around as long as Scratch, so the community itself isn't as large as Scratch. But if you're doing this as part of a class, for example, obviously everybody would be signing in, everybody would be joining the community, so you'll be able to share projects amongst yourselves. The website is www.gethopscotch.com. But this being an app, you can just go to the iTunes App Store and look for Hopscotch and download it onto your iPad rather than going to the website. Hopscotch projects consist of objects, which are kind of like the sprites in Scratch. But these are any kind of characters or objects that interact within your program. And for each of your objects, you will have rules. And the rules are what determines their behavior. So your codes will belong in one of the rules. And the rules always take this form of when something happens, do this. So it could be like when I tap on this character, then move. Or when I tap on the iPad, then start moving, or something like that. So there's always, it always starts with a when, and then there are commands that follow that. And objects could have multiple rules attached to it, or it doesn't have to have any rule attached to it if it's like a stagnant, like stationary wall or something like that. You don't have to have a rule necessarily. There are 2 modes within the program. There is an edit mode where you actually create the project, and then there's a play mode where you can test and play the project once you're done. But when you're testing your code, you'll be in the play mode as well. So there's a button to toggle between those 2 modes, and we'll get into that very shortly. So without further ado, I'm going to switch over to Hopscotch. Just give me a moment when I switch over to my document camera here. Okay, so you should be seeing my iPad screen now. Okay, so we're going to jump right into Hopscotch. That's Hopscotch. I'm going to tap it. Give it a second to start up. Okay, so when you start up, it kind of comes up with a bunch of projects. These are projects that other people have made, and it just kind of shows up in a gallery. So you can browse through these projects. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just first going to go through these little tabs on the bottom. So the home icon is where I am now. There is a search button on the bottom where you can search with the project's name, or you can search with the Hopscotcher, which is the usernames. So you can search based on the person, the author, or you can search based on the name of the project. And I don't know why it's taking so long to load, but you should start seeing things on here if you have good Wi-Fi connection. This lightning bolt is just showing, it will show you a bunch of different kind of new updates from Hopscotch. Right now, it's just one new video. And then this last icon here is your page. And this icon here is your avatar. And you can click on the one in the top and you can select your own avatar. It doesn't give you too many choices, but you can just take a pick. If you pick one of these really dark ones, you may not actually see the icon when it comes down on the bottom here. So you may want to pick something that's lighter colored. And then you have your drafts, which are incomplete, unshared projects. or it could be complete but unshared projects. The published ones are the projects that you've already shared and published. And I have a few. And then the favorites are other people's projects that you have favorited. So there's like a little heart icon that you can click on when you're seeing other people's project. And when you do that, they will show up in here. So it's a nice way to curate projects that you like to look at. I'm gonna go back to draft. Let's see. Okay, so to start a new program, there's a couple ways to do it. You can either do it from your own account and then click on the create button up here, or you can just click on the plus button on the bottom, and that's generally the easiest way to do it, is just hit this plus button. And it asks you, what do you want to make? Now you can start out with a blank project, or you can pick any of these pre-existing projects. That these are projects that were put out by Hopscotch, and they kind of come with a video tutorial built into the project. So today we're actually going to do this Crossy Road project. So I'm just going to show you what the video tutorial portion looks like. So if you tap on that, you will get a blank slate, but you also get this little video on the bottom right, and it's taking a while to load. But once that loads, it will kind of take you step by step through the different things that you need to do to project. Oh, there it goes. So that's really helpful in doing the project. We're not going to do that now because otherwise you'd be taking my job. So but I just wanted to show you that that's there if you need it. So I'm going to go back home. And, well, you know what? Sorry. One more little thing. So before I go into the blank project, I will show you what the Crossy Road project is all about. So the Crossy Road project is it's a project that was put together by Hopscotch as their lesson #1 in their official curriculum. So you will see a lot of Crossy Road projects, lots of different variations of it if you search, if you just kind of look through Hopscotch. So this particular version is the one I made earlier. And so the idea is you have this main character, the little chicken, or you can pick anything else, and then you have these control buttons that will move the character around the screen. And then there are these vehicles that are going back and forth on the screen. You don't necessarily have to have vehicles. You can have other animals. You can have shooting stars, whatever you want. But the idea is to get across to the top of the screen without hitting any of these vehicles. And if you get hit, you get sent back to the starting point. So in this program, there are several different objects. One is obviously the chicken, or the chick, and then there are the 2 vehicles. Then I have this here is the goal. So actually, if I get up there without getting hit, just see if I can get there. This might take a while. It makes it a little bit harder because I can't really see what I'm doing right now. So if I get to this thing, it makes a sound, although it's not very loud, so I don't know if you heard it. And try it again. Okay. So that's like the goal. And you could make additional things happen, like maybe the cars will stop, or the obstacles go away, or a screen changes and says something like congratulations, or you can do whatever you want. But so we have two objects, the chicken and the chick. And then the 2 obstacles, these are also objects. And these buttons are also objects. So in this particular program, we have 8 different objects, and they all have different rules. So these cars have rules that says just basically just move back and forth. And then the chicken just sits there. And the chick has a bunch of rules that makes it move when I tap on these buttons. So that's what we're going to try to build today. I don't think we'll do this entire thing, but we'll get started on that, and your assignment will be to finish it. So I am going to go back to my blank project. So when you open up a blank project, you get a blank screen, basically just a canvas, and it starts out with this already open. This is where you pick what object you want to add. You can pick from a bunch of different shapes, or a bunch of weird looking characters. Or the nice thing about Hopscotch is that you can use emojis as your character. So it really makes it nice and easy for you to add a variety of characters. So I'm going to go ahead and add my main character. So to switch to your emoji keyboard, you got to tap this icon there. You might see it as a globe. It might show up as a globe depending on how your iPad is set up. And if you don't have your emoji keyboard already set up, you need to go into the general settings of your iPad and then turn on the emoji. So that's under general settings, you go into, I believe, in settings, you go into general and then keyboard, add a keyboard, and you can add the emoji keyboard. I'll show you that later on. So once you're in the emoji keyboard, they're sort of organized as a bunch of different menus. So these are all happy faces and other faces. You have different objects, animals, and flowers and plants. These are kind of everyday objects. The car has a bunch of transportation-related things, and then we have symbols. So the first thing I'm going to do is add my main character, which was the little chick. But you don't have to do the chick. You can add anything else you want. And it just puts it right in the middle. And before I add any rules, I'm going to add some other objects. And first things I will do are the arrows. So I need an up arrow. Oops, I need to delete this. Oops. All right, up arrow. And you need to add these as separate objects. So unfortunately, you can't just sort of, you can't just choose 4 different icons and add it all at the same time, because that would be considered as one object. So we need to repeat this. But once you start doing this, you'll get quicker at it, so it won't take too long to do all of them. And I'm going to move the buttons to where I want them to be. Delete. And you'll notice that it kind of snaps onto a grid. The grid is arranged, each line on the grid, it's a little bit hard to see on the screen, but each line on the grid is 50. And 2 grid lines means 100, which will become a little more important later on. Right now, you just need to know that it kind of snaps, so that it makes it easier to align the different objects. So now I have the little chick and my 4 control buttons. So now that that's done, I'm going to add my first rule, which is, so like I said before, it starts with a when. Each rule starts with a when. So when, right now I have 3 options to choose from: when the game starts, when the character is tapped, or when the iPad is tapped. I can tap on more, and it gives me more options. So I'm actually going to choose when blank is tapped. And the blank is going to be one of my other keys. So when the up arrow is tapped, I want my chick to move up, which means change Y by, let's say, 50. Okay. Check. So what that would do is that I'm going to go to the play mode, which is up here. And again, there's an edit mode, which is where we are now, and the play mode. So now, if I push this up key, the chick will move by 50, which is 1 grid line. Now notice that the grid line disappears as soon as you're in the play mode. That's only an editing aid. So that button works. And I am going to add a new rule and do the same thing for the other buttons. So to make this game work, you're going to have to do this 4 times for the 4 different buttons. I am not going to do it 4 times right now. And I feel like 50 was a little too much, so I'm going to change it to 20. So now when the left button is pressed, change X by, actually, I need to do -20. -20. Okay, check. So when the left button is pressed, it will change X by -20, actually. This is a little too bright. I don't think you can see what I'm doing. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go in here, and any of the rules, if you just tap on it, you can start editing it. I'm going to change that back to 20 because that was a little too much. And if you need to delete a rule, you click on this check button on the right side and it'll go away. If you need to delete a character, then you tap the character and you'll get a trash can on the top. You just drag it into there and it will go away. And it'll give you a little warning. So if you don't want to delete it, you can just say keep it and it'll still come back. Okay. So I have the rules set up for 2 of the buttons. And I also want to set up something else, which is when the game starts, I want my chicken to start at the bottom center. So I am going to say set position to, and I'm just going to show you what this little sheet here. All right. This is kind of old-fashioned low-tech overlay here. So your screen is set up so that it's 0, 0 on the bottom corner, bottom left corner here. And it goes with the iPad screen. So the top right corner is 1024 and 768 in the Y direction. So this is X, and that's the vertical axis is Y. And the middle of the screen is 512 by 384, or you know, you could say it's approximately 500 by 350 or 400-ish. So if I want my chicken to be in the middle of the screen towards the bottom, I can say, let's say set X to 500 by Y is 100. And let's see where that goes. So now if I play this, the chicken starts right there, which looks to me like a good position, so I will keep it there. Going back to the edit mode. The other thing I want to do is make him a little bigger, because it's a little bit tiny. So I am going into the looks and sounds menu and set, I am going to set size to, let's say 150%. And this is by percent. So 100 would be what the size you are now. And if you want to be a little bit bigger, you need to use a bigger number than 100. So now it's a little bit bigger, and I think I will keep it that way. Okay. So now I have the control buttons kind of working, and the chicken starting in the right position at the right size. So I need to start adding my obstacles. So again, I'm going to go to add a new object, and I will choose a car. Let's see, difficult choices here.
There's some really good cars.
Yes, I know. Cars, trains, airplanes, you name it. Let me choose this red car. Done. And let me move it somewhere towards the middle. And add a new rule. And so if you recall, the cars were just going back and forth. So the condition will be when the game starts, because we kind of want it to start moving as soon as the game starts and keep on moving forever. And to move it, if you can do move forward, but that's a little bit tricky because it move forward in the hopscotch sense is going to the right. And this car, if you recall, is facing left. So if I do move forward, it will appear for the car to be moving backwards. So I'm not going to use that. What I'm going to use is change X by. And we said that the screen is about 1,000 pixels across. So I'm going to change X by -1,000 to make sure it gets all the way to the other end of the screen. Okay. And then I'm going to flip, which means the picture will flip horizontally. So now the car will be facing right. And then I will change X by 1,000 again. And then flip again. And this will have to repeat indefinitely. So there is under the control flow, there is a repeat forever block. Actually, I need to drag all of these blocks into here.
One at a time.
I know, it's kind of a pain. You have to do it one at a time. But so it's going to repeat forever, go left 1,000, right, flip, and then go right 1,000 and flip, and so on. The one last thing that I forgot to do is I can change the speed. And I'm going to do that way at the beginning. And I will change it to, this is kind of an arbitrary number, so it's something you're going to have to play with. But if you have this in there, then you can set your different obstacles to have different speeds, so it won't always be moving in sync, which makes your game a little bit more interesting.
That's a great idea.
And you can also do it with random numbers too. So now I have the car kind of bouncing back and forth. It's a little bit hard to see on the screen because the frame rate isn't that great on my document camera, but on the actual iPad, it's moving a lot more smoothly than this. So now I can make the chicken go up. So now I have not set up any rule on the chicken to make it go back to the beginning if it gets hit by a car. Yikes. So now that my car is doing okay, and actually let me change the size of that too because it's a little bit small. Set size. So I'll do 150% again. So I'm gonna go back to my chicken, and now I can add a new rule that says if my chicken bumps the car, so I'll choose the chicken for the first input, and then bumps the red car. Now, in this case, it doesn't really matter which ones is actually bumping which. The only thing that matters is that they actually touch each other. So, in the game, it appears like the car is actually bumping the chicken, but it doesn't really matter in this case. So if the chicken bumps the car, then I'm going to set position, and the beginning position was 500 and 100. So I will set that. And now, if I test that again, whoops. Now if I get hit by the car, I should go back to the bottom. So that's sort of how to start building this project. And to make it look more, make it more interesting, you'll have to add more cars, add the goal, and obviously program the other two buttons that I haven't done yet. But that's sort of the way to start building this. Now let's see. The other piece of this project is, let's go back to my completed one. Come on. Okay. So if you notice this one, it has a background of the rows and the grass, and the one that I was just creating, it was just blank. And one thing about Hopscotch is that it doesn't have a feature to import background like Scratch did. So unless you actually draw your own background, everything is white. So, and to draw the backgrounds, you actually need to program your program. You need to set up your program so that it draws the background. You can't just import an image, which kind of turns into an interesting math problem with all the coordinates and x's and y's. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to go back into edit mode. So in any of these characters, there's an option to draw a trail. And draw a trail basically just follows the character around and leaves like a pen mark. And you can set the width, you can set the color. I don't want the chicken to do it, so I'm going to delete that. And if you're just drawing a background, rather than using one of your objects within your program, it's better for you to set up like a dummy character just dedicated to the background. So I am going to set up my little dummy character. And it doesn't really matter what you pick at this point because the character is going to you're going to probably make it disappear as soon as you finish drawing. But I'm just going to pick something small. Let's say I'll just pick a period. And you do need to pick something so that you have something so that the rules can attach to, and you have something visual that you can see to find to add the rule to. So I do have the little black dot there. So when the program starts, I wanted to draw the background. And to draw the background, again, we need to come back to these coordinates. And let's say if I wanted the entire thing to be green, let's say I just wanted just like a grassy field and then I wanted the whole thing to be green, then what I need to do is to draw a line straight down the middle, but make it a really fat line so it takes up the entire screen. So, so what you will do is first I am going to set position and go to like right here, left center the screen. So set position to x is 0, and I'm going to set y to, let's say, 400. Okay, and then we're going to go into the drawing and draw a trail. I will pick green. Let's pick the lighter green, and the width needs to be as big as the screen. And if you recall, the y dimension was 768, so we want it to be bigger than that. So I will pick something like 800. And I need to move forward enough so that this end, the right end, is covered. So just to be safe, I'm going to pick something big, although I'm pretty sure I don't have to go that far. And now when I play the program, you see this dot moving across the screen. Actually, the dot is still there. That's my little period right there. And now my whole screen is green. Now you can make this happen a little bit faster so that you don't see it by changing, where did that go? Changing your speed. So at the beginning, you can set your speed to something really large, like really big. And that way, it happens almost instantaneously and you don't even see it happening. So that's to draw a solid background. If you wanted to add a road, then you would, again, do the draw trail, but you need to move it. You need to move your dummy character to, let's say I want the, I forgot where my car was. Well, that's okay. I will start with x is 0, and let's say y is 300. And then we can draw another trail. And this time I will make it gray because this is the road. And the width will be a little bit smaller, let's say 200. Oops. 200. And again, I will make it move forward by 1,000. Okay. Play that again. So the road is a little bit too big, but
It's crucial.
But that's okay.
Right.
But you get the idea. Change that to 100.
That's a good question. You can ask students, what do I do?
Yes.
Make it thinner.
And on the one of the links in BPS Learns, I have this template, which I can't show the whole sheet because my paper is bigger than my iPad. But I do have a blank template where you can actually use this to draw. And you can draw right on here and then use it as sort of a guideline to see what you need to put in for the number. So definitely use that as a guide if you are doing this. And if you wanted to make a dotted line, let's say like the line down the middle of the road, then I'm going to go back again to 0 by 300. And this time we will draw a trail. This time we need to draw the white trail with a pretty small width. But I need to draw a short line, and then I need to skip a little bit without drawing the line. So that's just moving X without leaving a trail. And then repeat, which again was under control flow. So let's drag these things in here. So let's say repeat it 7 times. So now we have the green grass, we have the gray road, and the white line that divides the road. So you can kind of do this to start building your background. You can also have rows going vertically. You can add a circle to do like a lake, or you can it gets a little bit complicated, but you can start drawing different shapes like rectangles and square triangles to make houses. So there's a lot of different things you can do there. And again, on one of the handouts that we have attached to your BPS Learns, I have a little handout of how to build a happy face. And that, again, is, you can kind of deconstruct a happy face by saying it's a circle and another circle covered up by another line and covered up by another circle, and then finally you add the eyes. So if you take a look at this handout, it will tell you step by step, and it really goes through step by step how to build a happy face in Hopscotch. And so, are there any questions? No? Okay, so I think that's sort of it in terms of the demo. Let's see if there was anything else I wanted to show. Oh, and then when you're done with drawing the background, you can make your character disappear by going into looks and sounds and then set invisibility to 100%. So if you make the invisibility go to 100% after you run and it finishes drawing, you notice that my dot is now gone because it kind of just hit itself. So that's another way. That's the other reason why it really doesn't matter what you pick for your dummy object for drawing the background. But if something small would be less intrusive. And you'll see that there are a lot of other icons in here that we are not going to cover every single one, but there are more motion ones. There's turn, there's angle, other drawing things. But drawing is mostly just draw a trail. The set trail color and set width is actually part of the draw trail. So you really don't need to touch that. Under looks and sounds, there are text options. You can grow and shrink your thing, your object. Obviously, we already did the size. There is also a sound. Where did the sound go? Oh, start sound.
Right.
So that's what I used for the cheering sound in the other, the Crossy Road project. So start sound, you can select the sound. Oops. You can select the sound by going into here, and this mouse button is basically it's a mouse click sound. And you can try any of these sounds, and it will make the sound for you, and you can test which one you like. There are different tabs, so it's not just the sound effects. There are different tabs that you can choose from. There's a clapping sound. That was just one clap. There's a laughing sound. And there is Rashmi's phone sound. So you can also set your sound and play sounds different. The values, the yellow menu, are variables. So if you have done any other programming before and you're familiar with variables, you can definitely play with that. It's not required for your assignment or anything like that. And then under control flows, we have the important ones are repeat and repeat forever, but there is a wait if you want, let's say you don't want the car to start moving until you like 2 seconds after the game starts or something. Then you can use your wait. Oh, and I was going to show you the random number thing. Hold on. So let's say I wanted the car to move at a different speed each time, just to make things a little more challenging. And that, in terms of the gameplay, that adds a nice little element of surprise, because all of a sudden the car starts moving faster, and then you have to move a little faster. Is there a question?
Yeah. Can we import sounds into Hopscotch?
No. So Hopscotch doesn't take imported sound. It also does not take imported pictures. So everything is sort of what's already in there. So I am going to change, tap on the speed, set speed to edit the number. And instead of typing in a number here, there is a random number block that I can put in. And when I use the random number, you can set a low limit and a high limit, which is nice because you don't want the car to be at 0 speed. So I'm going to say I want it to be at least 300 for speed, and maybe let's say as fast as 600, which is a little fast for speed. And to make it even more interesting, I'm going to put this inside my repeat loop so that every time, oh, it didn't go inside the repeat loop, there we go. So that every time it gets to the right end, the speed changes. So let's, whoops, let's play that. I forgot to delete the sound. So it's a little bit hard to see, but you'll probably notice that the car will change speed a little bit every time it hits the right side wall. Sometimes it's going a little slowly, sometimes it's going faster. And that's just, more interesting for the game to not be the same every single time, especially if you have more than one object. So that is that. So if there are no other questions from here, I am going to switch back to my slide deck. Hold on one moment. There we go. Okay. So in terms of the aligning to Massachusetts DLCS standards, this is the same set of standards that I pulled up last time or a week ago for the Scratch sessions. But really, any kind of coding activity like this, I just looked at the 3 to 5 standards, but it really aligns really well to the computational thinking strand. So these are all of the different standards in there. And for your assignment this week, so there again is an exit ticket, a short one. And then you have 2 options for the project. Option 1 is to complete the Crossy Road activity, so which means, in addition to what I just did today, minus the background, I want you to finish programming the 2 other buttons and also add another obstacle at least, and possibly add a goal. Option 2 is to draw an image or background. So you don't have to do both. You don't have to create a Crossy Road with the background. I just want you to do either or. Of course, if you want to do both, that's great. but you don't have to. Now, in terms of sharing the project, there is no, you can't really upload it to the web or anything like that. So what I would like you to do is, if possible, record a short video of yourself just explaining the project on your iPad. So like talking through it, maybe playing it and just showing us some of your code. So if you have, if you did it on your iPad and then you can record a video on your phone, that would be great. And then you can upload the video either right into the forum, or you can upload it to your Google Docs and then Google Drive and then share the link with us. If it is a challenge for you to record a video, you can also just send us your username and your project name and then I'll try to look for it. It's just a little bit harder for us to look for it in Hopscotch, and having the video there would be easier. Oh, I think I forgot to show you how to share the project. So let me go back to my iPad for a second. So let's say you are done with your project and you are ready to share. So then you go to, oops. You go, while you're playing it, there is a little share button up here. It looks like a little notepad that's flying up. Click on that, and you are taken to a published page. You can put in your name. You can name it Crossy Road, but just be warned that there are like 1,000 other ones named Crossy Road because everybody does this project. And then you will, let's see, but I'm gonna go ahead and name it Crossy Road. And you don't have to add a channel, and then you just check, make sure this Hopscotch is checked, and then publish. Look good, looks good, publish it, and then it will now be available for anybody to look at. And you can, you can unshare it too if you'd like. Of course, it's taking a while. So now it will come up as one of your published work. It's right here. So that's how you would publish it. You can also yeah, so if you close them once, you can always go back into your drafts, open it, And then from your play mode, you can upload it using the upload icon. So again, that was in here, and that icon up there to share. And then once you share, you can take a video, or you can send us your username and your project name. And if you are not sure what your username and your project name is, it's the thing that shows up on the bottom right of your project here. So in my case, the username would be Haruna Hops, and then the project is Crossy Roads. So that's what we were looking for you to submit. All right, so back to my slide deck. Okay, so I think we've gone through this. There are a few additional resources. And actually, let me show you from the BPS Learns page. So this is BPS Learns page for week 5 or session 5. In additional resources, we have a link to Hopscotch YouTube channel. So Hopscotch has their own YouTube channel with a lot of different tutorials and just how-tos. And there is also a website that we just, website itself isn't too informative, but then there is a link to the curriculum, which is kind of buried within the website. So I put it right here as well. So they have their own, let's see, official curriculum that starts out with the Crossy Road activity and then goes into a bunch of different ones. So lesson 1 is Crossy Road. So you can feel free to take a look at this, and after you're done with the Crossy Road activity, if you want to do more, there's a lot of resources in here. This is really a curriculum for learning Hopscotch, and my little
Learning goal.
No, it's not really tied to any other curriculum, let's say. So like Scratch is very conscious about making sure it's tied to some other curriculum like science and math. Then it's in a way it's easier to tie Scratch into other subject areas. Hopscotch is not too easy because of its inability to import your own images and characters. It makes it a little bit more difficult to integrate Hopscotch into a different subject area. Although it does blend really well with math, especially for graphing, because you have with coordinates, because you're forced to draw your own background. But other than that, we're having a little bit of difficulty trying to tie this in with other curriculum areas. And so all of these lessons are great for learning code, but it's all about making fun games, and there really isn't much of a tie-in to any other subject area. So just a little word of warning there. And within the assignment link, so assignment 2, so there are 2 options, either complete the game or draw a background. And each of them are linked to the 1-page handout that I kind of very briefly showed you through the document camera. So if you go into the Crossy Road activity, this is a shorter version, like the 1-pager handout of how to do Crossy Roads. And we did some of them already. And if you click on the background one, you will get a similar handout with just the tips on how to draw a straight line, fill a background, and how to make dashed lines. And also you get the happy face one and the blank coordinate system one. And there are also some resources listed within the assignment specific to Crossy Road. So there is another version of the Crossy Road instruction other than the 1-pager that I attached over here. And this one is much more step-by-step. This is actually something we used when we did a Girl Hackathon event back in April or May. I can't remember. But
come up again.
This is much more step-by-step. So if you find that the 1-pager version is a little too abridged and it's hard to follow, then feel free to go in here and take a look at this one as well. And there is also a YouTube tutorial, which is very similar to what you'll find within your iPad's little tutorial that I showed you. And so there's that as well. And there is a YouTube tutorial on how to use the drawing tools. So there are a bunch of different resources. It's almost like an overload of resources. So take a look. Some, depending on where you are in your coding experience levels, and your technology, your comfort level with the technology, you might find one tool better than the other. So take a look around. I kind of just threw everything at you to see what you like. So back to the presentation. And again, remember to test small pieces of the code as you go. So, for example, when I started programming the buttons, I programmed one button and then made sure it worked before I started doing all the other buttons, which is probably a good idea, because if you did something wrong, you don't want to have to redo your code 4 different times. And again, don't be afraid to try different blocks. There are a lot more you can do in Hopscotch. You can take a look at the official curriculum to go into some of the more advanced games, or there's a lot of different things on YouTube that you can do. Oops, there we go. And again, refer to the multiple resources. I sort of gave you different versions so that you can pick and choose. So there, just for the Crossy Road, there is YouTube, there is a one-pager, there is a multi-pager, and there is a printed curriculum. So there is a lot that you can choose from. You can use all of them, or you can use one of them, or you don't have to use any of them. And ask for help. So the forum is open. We'll be checking it, so make sure you ask for help. Before I close, I do want to actually just go back one moment to my document camera and show you again where that video embedded tutorial was, because it's a little bit hard to find. So back to my my iPad. So if you click on this plus button, that's where you'll find the different projects. Why am I not getting all? There it goes. So the Crossy Road one is here. This is where you'll get the one with the embedded video so that you can follow along. Or if you want to do any of the other ones. So for example, the second activity in the curriculum after Crossy Road is this geometry dash. So that's in there as well. And again, with the embedded,
welcome to Hopscotch.
Embedded video. So you can take a look at that and kind of go along with the video as well. So that was, so that's the plus button on the bottom right here. That's sort of the most important button in Hopscotch. All right, so no questions?
No.
Okay, so if there are no questions, I think I am done with what I need to say for Hopscotch. I just want to mention again that there is a Learn, Teach, Lead Summit coming up in August 10th. If you have not registered yet, please do. It will be a lot of fun. We'll definitely give you more information as we get more information about what's actually going to be presented there. Unfortunately, we don't have that yet, so we're just giving you the same spiel every week, but we will try to get you more information in the coming sessions. And next session on Thursday is Code Studio, and which is a lot of fun. Code Studio is a series of tutorials put together by code.org, which are the people behind Hour of Code.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just kind of go through all those tutorials. I think it'll be a fun session.
Mm-hmm.
So we're good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.